All right, guys, Shotty T here with the Alliance War video. This is war number 6 on the season. As you can see there, please subscribe to my channel, like, share. We're growing it. Still in the infant stages. We're trying to reach at least triple digit subscribers, and eventually we can get to the point where it's in the thousands. So one step at a time. But Protect's going to be the global once again, and the opponent placed kind of uniquely this war. They didn't place opponents at the top of each path, and also didn't put anyone on node 22, which is interesting. So they've made it to where everyone is forced to uh, fight 4 fights, basically. Like every path in each tier is 2 opponents for each person. I think the only one that doesn't have 2 opponents guaranteed is path 7 in tier 1. But every other path has at least 4 opponents. I guess it kind of forces people to diversify their attack, where sometimes your 3-man combo may not be compatible for all 4 opponents, but the nodes aren't that impossible where that's hard to pull off. So here we decided to potentially experiment with suicides, because I was gonna bring Omega Red, but usually I bring Claire for fights that I would bring Omega Red for. I mean, there are some fights that are exclusive to Omega Red that Claire is probably not a good matchup for, but Claire can always heal herself um, if for SP1 or SP2. So it's like, so it's one of those things, you think long, you think wrong. So again, hindsight, probably should have brought Claire. So some of the fights I end up using Omega for, Claire would have worked just fine, and I'll explain when I get to those particular fights, because one of those fights definitely ended up biting me, particularly when I turn on suicide. So that being said, here's the first fight. We got Storm Pyramid. There's nothing special here. Just try not to push it to an SP2. We're just going to use Omega Red just because he has a heal factor with SP1 and SP3 that I can always recoup back, either in this fight or in later fights. So save some potions. So that's the whole purpose of me bringing him here. So her SP1 is not really that difficult to evade. And for those that don't know, whenever Omega Red has at least 10 spores on the opponent, they cannot purify any debuffs. And apparently that also applied for this ebb and flow knockdown, because when my Fury expired and she had 10 spores on her, when I stunned her, the protection returned, but she was still stunned because she had 10 spores. So I didn't know that at the time, because you saw there was like a little slight pause where I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I didn't even try to attack her, because I thought she was going to shrug off the parry when my Fury ran out. But nonetheless, we got this fight done pretty cleanly. We lost 5%, but again, we can recuperate that in future fights. All right, so next fight here, we got Magneto against Dragon Man. Of course, you guys know Magneto is the king of metal counters. Yeah, so this is going to end up being a pretty straightforward fight. Yeah, so you guys saw that notification about Vincent Jackson, NFL player, passed away tragically. They're investigating it, so hopefully it wasn't any foul play. But anyways, so we got this fight here, Dragon Man with Magneto. So now, of course, Dragon Man, for those that don't know, a lot of people place him on stun immune nodes because he starts off with that power gain, and only way you can get rid of it by parrying him. But if it's on stun immune node, you can't get rid of it, so you're basically baiting specials all fight, unless you got a good power control champ like Magic or Void with the Petrify, or a good nullification champ like Doom or Claire. Armor breaking this guy is not a good idea, especially if we got a cosmic champ, but really with any champ. So that's one thing I thought about when I had Magneto. I don't want to throw my SP2 because that'll cause an armor break. I'm not sure if that degeneration is affected by ability accuracy, but I didn't want to test it. I know the armor break does come after SP3, but 14 power charge. I don't think he's going to survive that SP3. And he doesn't. So that's the end of that fight there. So now here's where the fun starts. So this Korg here, like I said, I scouted the profile because he had Korg in his profile. I believe the Korg was like SIG 113, so it's like a 58 point something percent chance that he shrugs off debuff. But in this fight, it felt like it was 88%, and you will see. So we start off there. There's the first shrug. So the idea here with just like I said in that previous fight, and you can already see it early on, all these shruggings. So, but the key here with Omega against Korg on this particular node is that, of course, you want to get to your 10 spores, so that way he's not shrugging them off. But he's just not playing ball right now. He's shrugging off all these debuffs. And hopefully we're just trying to get to the rock stacks depleting so we can get control of the fight now. Keep in mind, I turned on suicide, so in hindsight, probably shouldn't turn it on. Because I really wanted to throw some specials at time to get rid of the stacks, but I know that was going to cost me 5% health every time. But I could have worked around that, I guess. Because like I said, I usually don't run. I never run suicides in war. It's probably my second time ever doing it. But you can see there, he's like shrugging off all these parries. So I just decided to throw an SP3, kind of waste one there, just to get rid of all the rock stacks. I mean, that's basically why I did it. So I can start fresh and reapply the shrugs. And then I mistimed my decks because I was normally closer to Korg when he starts his motion. So I just threw my whole timing and rhythm off dexing his SP1. So I took a pretty good chunk of damage because he had quite a few prowesses on him. And I probably should have reapplied the degeneration right there. So now the spores fall off. But luckily he didn't shrug off that parry, because otherwise that would have been a disaster. So we were able to get away with that, so we applied it there. And also another thing, I didn't even boost with this fight. I just realized that I probably should have boosted. If I did, I probably would have still survived, especially if I did the health boost. So once again, he's in this shrugging mode, so I decided to throw another SP3 to get rid of the rock stacks. Like I said, I still feel fairly confident I can still finish this fight as long as he plays ball. Because it's not like Korg hits hard, but I just got hit a couple of times carelessly. And I did too early to apply the spores, and I'm gonna pay dearly because there's gonna be one consecutive shrug, 2 shrugs, 3 shrugs, and now he's unblockable, so I can't parry now. So I'm trying to retreat so I can give myself space to parry. Then he shrugs off again. So this time just had to throw an SP2, but again I have recoil, so it would have been nice if I didn't. Now if I had Claire, I wouldn't have this much problem. I mean, you guys seen me fight with Claire. Again, don't know why, didn't bring her. But I mean, he's shrugging off every parry, and it just got ridiculous. I mean, I swear I faced SIG 200 Korgs that didn't shrug off that many parries. So it was totally bad RNG. So we decided to finish off with Magneto because his attacker energy base also. So there's no thorn damage here either. But you're gonna see it's gonna be more parry shrug, more shrugs. That's 2 straight. All right, so now he didn't shrug that one off. That's another one. He evades. Another shrug, another shrug. All right, so that's 2 that he didn't shrug. So he's like 5 out of 7, 6 out of 8. So we got a 75% shrug ratio, so 6 out of 9 now. That's 66.7, 7 out of 10. So 70%. So here's another one. So 8 shrugs, 9 shrugs. So, okay, he didn't shrug that one. I had to hesitate because I thought he was going to shrug again. It's like, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I've never seen so many shrugs, man. I just never seen it. All right, now it's rock stats are going. So now I can see about getting some. I probably should have charged some heavies there, but I was trying to manage his. I was trying to manage his prowess charges. But now he's back to the shrug game. I mean, it's a fight just to get this last few percent down. And I got the SP3 emergency, and there it is, because he's shrugging again. I mean, you would think this guy was like sick, 300 with an 80% shrug ratio. But of course, because I think Matt's sick, I think the most is like 69.99 or 70% basically. But he's easily doing that in these two fights combined whenever he has those rock stats up. There's another one. Yeah. Yeah, definitely should have just used Claire, simplified the fight. I would have had suicides would have been turned off for one, and so I wouldn't have lost health from throwing my SP2, because of course the SP2 I could just use that as a heal factor. But as you guys can see, I mean, this had to be the most annoying Korg I've ever fought, ever. I mean, I know that's hyperbole, but that's the most annoying Korg I've ever fought, ever. It was ridiculous. But we move on. It was only one death. Seemed like it was more the way that fight went. So next here we got Magic against Apocalypse. So we're running out of power boosts. I probably should have saved one of them because I know I was going to need one for the boss fight. I'm not sure if I applied it for this fight or not. Yep, I do, because I remember I had one. So hopefully they replenish with the break in the season. They'll replenish it where you can get two more starting Wednesday morning. So cross my fingers. Otherwise, we'll have to find some creative ways to fight or use a different type of boost. But I think there's a way I can still work around fighting against Apocalypse without having the power start boost. But the whole idea here is just to race to the bar of power. Unfortunately, he threw his SP1, and you can see why he's an annoying defender on this node, because it's almost impossible to evade his special. It is possible to do so. I did watch a video on how to almost dex his SP1. But I have to do it a couple of times before I'm comfortable using that in war. If you get hit by his SP1, it's not good. I mean, it doesn't hit the hardest. Probably deals more block damage than anything. SP2 is easier to evade, but again, it's just so risky to try to do that in war. So you're just better off not having to deal with it by just having someone like Magic, just the power control. So worst case scenario, you may have to bait a special or two during the fight, and then once you get to your SP2, the game is basically over. So right now, we're just backdrafting in the corner, chilling, but he intercepts me, but luckily I got limbo, so that's why we love Magic. So we just continue on like nothing really happened, and the fight is over. So this net, and by the way, I took suicides off in case you guys didn't notice. Like after that core fight, I took off suicides. So this next fight, I was really debating on who I should bring. Because I fought Havoc, not Havoc. I fought Nova with Magic on Ebb and Flow Intercept before. And like I said, there's a time where he'll just randomly shrug off a parry and you hit auto block, and sometimes you get stunned off of it. Still didn't quite understand those abilities, but I made sure after this fight I looked that up so that way I know what to expect moving forward. And I was debating whether I should use Magic or should I use Magneto. Nova is a metal champ, so had to do it all over again, would have just used Magneto, but decided to go with Magic. So let's see what happens. So early on, and I probably should just race myself to 2 bars of power. I already had the power start boost. And so we power lock there. But then again, I parry him, he auto blocked. Now later on, I found out that whenever he has 50 or more Nova charges and he has that Fury buff active, if you parry him, or if you stun him, he will shrug it off and auto block your next attack. And if he has Nova charges above 75 like that, and he has a Fury and you stun him, then you will get auto block. And that's what happened there. So, and then once he gets to 100, he becomes unblockable. So since he was already at like 90 something, I decided to just wait it out and just let his whole Nova cycle reset. So moving forward, I'll know exactly how to, when he shrugs off parries and when he doesn't, because when he has less than 50 Nova charges, he's not gonna auto block a parry attempt. It's when he has 50. So maybe you'll see that again in this fight, and he just intercepts me there, and that's it. That came out of nowhere. That was like a pro computer right there. That came out of nowhere. But anyway, like I said, but at the time it was kind of annoying that he just kept shrugging off those parries. I mean, it's not a Korg fight, but anyway, should have just used Magneto because this fight becomes much easier. Of course, I get hit there, got my heavy interrupted, so took a chunk of health there. But we're just gonna, and the thing about Magneto against metal champs, he ignores auto blocks. So again, just 2 decisions that obviously cost me 2 fights this war. The first decision is bringing Omega Red instead of Claire, because I would have dealt with that Korg much easier, because I would have not had suicides and I would have comfortably threw my SP through and healed back some health loss and just be less stressful throughout the fight and not be in a position where I'm not able to evade a SP1 either, because of my normal spacing with Claire against Korg. So Claire, and then obviously this fight here, just not understanding Nova's full abilities with the auto block. But like I said, I know that now. So we just throw the SP2. We don't want to get hit by him because he has 16 buffs on him, and it would have hit hard if he hit me. So I just played keep away the rest of the fight. So we decided to go ahead and apply our potions. We got a lot of potions. We hardly use items in war. So we decided to go ahead and re-up. Now this Korg fight goes nowhere near like the other, and I had to look at the SIG. So this is SIG 130, so you would think this Korg would shrug off more parries than the other Korg. Now obviously the difference between the first Korg and this Korg is that at least I can parry 5-hit combo. I don't have to worry about mix master or evade. So there's a big difference there, obviously. So that's the main reason why. But it just seems like, and plus I'm able to maintain my spores easily, so that way he's not shrugging off. So that's another reason why this fight goes much easier. Because with 10 spores, he doesn't shrug off. So I can do a 5-hit combo to get rid of the rock stats easier as well. So just a much different fight. So this is the one fight that I say Omega, it was worth bringing him for. But again, Claire would have handled it just as well. So, but I digress. The decision was made. I still could have beat both Korgs had I played it better, to be frank, but it would have been less stressful if I had Claire. So that's that. So we're just chilling here. We're not even worrying about the ebb and flow, but we did get an intercept there. And I probably should have thrown my SP SB3 sooner because I was trying to see if I could heal off of it, but I had that passive fury. So this SB3 will kill him. But yeah, so a tale of two Korgs. That Korg was much easier, but for reasons I explained, much easier fight. All right, so now we got Man-Thing. So this is another fight that I thought about when I brought Omega. But again, Claire can do this fight too. That's how great Claire is. Claire has her poison immune phase where you don't have to worry about taking poison damage. Now, naturally, I brought Omega because he's poison immune as well. But I fought against Man-Thing with Claire before. So, again, I could have just brought Claire the whole time. But this fight, I will say, was smoother with Omega, at least for the first 60% of his health. It did get kind of tricky at the end because when he has his regeneration buff, he's unblockable until it wears off. So there's going to be a lot of hitting to the block and baiting specials and heavies the second half of the fight, which is fine. I'm used to doing that because you're going to definitely see that in the next fight coming up. So like I said, that's why I practice certain tactics, because sometimes you'll need those tactics in certain fights. So now he has his unblockable. Now, if I had Claire, I would have nullified it. So at least the second half of the fight probably would have been easier managed with Claire. But I was able to melt him quicker with Omega in the first half. But you got, the clock is not an issue. So overall, the last half of the fight would have been less stressful with Claire. And I would have maintained better power control with her SB2 in this poison mode because it steals power. But again, this was not a bad alternative because you can see I'm doing pretty well. And now we're just going to throw an SB3 here just to buy some time, and it may kill him. So, like I said, Omega is a great Man-Thing counter. So, like, there were some side quests where Man-Thing is pretty annoying, where one of the few counters to that fight was Omega. So, I'm not bashing Omega at all. Personally, I just like Claire better, but didn't do it this war. All right, so that's enough of the Claire versus Omega drama. So now it's time to bring on Magneto. So had a teammate bring the white Magneto pre-fight. It does no purpose for this fight. All it does just adds 15% attack. So that's the only reason why. And plus, they didn't use it in their own path, so it said, why not? Don't let it go to waste. So this fight, we're not going to gain any power. But the thing about Magneto, as I said in that Havoc, that Nova fight, is that Magneto ignores auto block. So this fight here is just going to be all about pure combos. And no debuffs, no power, just straight fisticuffs with Magneto. The only person that can throw specials is Mr. MODOK. So I just keep it simple, hitting to the block, bait specials, bait heavies, intercept at times when I got that opening. Of course, then don't parry. And you'll have a good time. And when he gets to a full bar power, I do a 4-hit combo so that way I don't expose myself. So that way I can give myself time to retreat. But I got clipped on the foot there. I do get clipped, I think, 1 or 2 more times before this fight is over. But for the most part, this fight is going pretty well. So, outpacing him. So we got a 4-hit combo, he's at a bar of power, we Dex get out of the way. And now we decided to get fancy. Let's do some Magic Magneto action. Do some backdrafts. There we go, the computer is playing ball. Just try to speed up the fight a little bit. And for your entertainment, he doesn't cooperate there, but it's okay. We go back, 4-hit combo, Dex SB1, backdraft, intercept, 4-hit combo, SB1 decks, go back in, backdraft. I mean, this is like a clinic. A backdraft, SB1, backdraft, decks. Yeah, we're in the rhythm now. We're cooking with grease. Like the later the war got, the more focus I got. Obviously, like I said, had a little lag in the middle, but there was no excuse for it. But we got clipped there on the foot. There's that second time I was referring to. But we're almost done with the fight now. Like I said, we didn't stun at all because we can't stun. So for those that have struggled with stun immune, this is like a clip that you want to save for future reference. That's how you fight stun immune fights to a T. All right, so next fight here. Once again, got my partner in crime. Gonna apply the pre-fight to make it where you can not worry about the limber aspect with any metal or hero attacker. So Omega, he is a metal attacker. So, but if I had Claire, I know I said no more comparison, but if I had Claire, she's a hero. So it would have applied to her too. Because I wasn't going to use magic, even though she's a hero as well. I wanted to save her for the boss fight. So I didn't want to lose any chip damage. So the only thing I really have to worry about is that evade, which is not a big deal. He only evades once. All right. And this SB2, not that difficult to evade there. Just 3 decks is there. We got some brute force kicking in, but luckily his evade triggered fatigue. So now I actually have some willpower to heal off of. And of course you can parry stealth suit from a distance with his first medium guaranteed. You can parry that. So that's the SB2 once again. So like I said, this fight, like I said, that pre-fight with the white Magneto is so clutch. Like I said, it just makes this node much easier. You can fight it with anyone really. Parry, short combo if it's an annoying opponent who evades or auto blocks. Now there are some people you don't really need that pre-fight. But here we go. We got Apocalypse. We still got our 6-hour boost active that we applied from the Man-Thing fight because I was at work. So I knew I wasn't going to fight consecutively until the boss. So I just wanted to have it to where it was available all the way to the end of war if needed. But I had a little break at work. So I said, okay, the boss is open. Let's go in. So magic, power boost, 200% as well. Mystic boost. So just like the first fight and the last war you saw. And also this boss has suicide. So this fight's going to be a little bit much shorter here because he's going to be constantly losing a good chunk of health from poison. And you'll see there's like 270 or 682 per tick. So that's a pretty good chunk there. And now it's at 1137. So it's like varying degrees that it goes down. I'm guessing because he has protection now. Yeah, he has protection, so I have to intercept to get rid of the... There we go. So now it's 1137 per tick, but now it went down to 682 because of the protection. And he intercepts me again, but guess what? Limbo. So Limbo is such a clutch mechanic. All right, so he got 2 stats of protection, but we just got rid of it there with the intercept. So now he trigger protection once again, but intercept to get rid of it once again. And again, the poison is killing him pretty quickly as well. I probably could just chill and just let him kill himself, but I like to finish in style. I'm not sure why they placed him with suicides, to be honest with you, but I didn't place, they did. Maybe that's good karma for, I guess, for me fighting with suicides. I get a chance to fight a boss with suicides and finish the deal. So we finished strong. Like I said, we had a couple of missteps in between, Learn from your mistakes. Don't repeat them again. But after this fight, the war was pretty close. It was pretty close because I was really getting mad at myself. I said, hopefully I don't cost our alliance the war with those 2 deaths. We got a 6-kill edge, but they are farther along on our defense. So it's really nail biting at this point. But we ended up winning the war. We won by 2 attack bonuses, but we also had a good diversity edge, so it really wasn't as close as we thought it would be. And we're on the cusp of Platinum 3. But again, please like, share, subscribe, and hope you guys enjoy your day.